time for another Coffee with Kilroy, or what I sometimes call beverage in a book. My beverage, I think you know where I'm coming from. My book, or today's book, is Battlefield Maps of the Civil War, the Western Theater. This is from the American Battlefield Trust. These are maps from the American Battlefield Trust, Volume 2. Now, I'll put a link to it in the description below, but I did cover Battlefield Maps of the Civil War, the Eastern Theater, on a previous Coffee with Kilroy, which, that by my stumbling, I think I need to have some coffee. There you go. And I talk a little bit about, covering atlases, talking about the perspectives of this book, talking a little bit about the American Battlefield Trust and the little I know about it. And if you, any of you know more, feel free to pop that in the comments down below so that we can all learn from your knowledge. But this American Battlefield Trust, I became aware of them through YouTube, just watching their coverage of battles. They walk battlefields. They usually do it on anniversaries, and they walk battlefields, and they give different perspectives of the battle. They cover the military aspect of it, but sometimes they cover some of the side aspects of, the battle, like, the handling the dead, or how did it affect the local residents of that battle. And so they cover a lot of the different battlefields. I think their preservation effort is on Revolutionary War, War of 1812, and primarily the Civil War. A lot of the content I've seen is, or followed mostly, is the Civil War and its battlefields. They do Gettysburg, I think, almost every year. They've done Shiloh, Vicksburg. I think they've done Antietam. They've done. I mean, they do a lot of the different battlefields across the United States, and so. And they have historians come in and they walk the fields and talk about it. And again, they focus on like some different aspects or perspectives, and they bring in some local historians or people from local museums. I don't know. I find it interesting. If watching people walk around a field, if that doesn't excite you, well then maybe this isn't for you. So, but these are battlefield maps or atlases that they've started to compile. And as I said, I covered Eastern Theater previously, and now I thought I'd do a quick page through on the Western Theater. Now, the interesting thing about the Western Theater, it's the Western Theater from the perspective of the Civil War. So when I think of the Western Theater, I think about my neck of the woods, like Pea Ridge and Wilson's Creek and stuff like that. This really is focusing, the West is, the far West, I guess, is Vicksburg. And so it's from Vicksburg over to Atlanta, I think, is even covered in the Western Theater here. So maybe they need to have a Volume 3, which is, the far West or everything else. That is, I like to see some maps on that or atlases on that. And maybe that's out there. I just picked up these two. Anyway, so let me get a sip of coffee. And you can have a sip anytime you want. I'm not watching you. So nice, thicker hardback here. Not hard bound, but a little bit thicker paper. And they put 3 rings in here, or cut holes in here, so you can put this in a bigger binder. I imagine if you wanted to take this to the battlefield, and as you're walking it or looking around, you could pull this out and have it in a binder. Both the Eastern Theater and the Western Theater have those holes. There's a forward, what goes into making a new map. I think that's in the previous volume as well. Here's an introduction talking about the Western Theater. So the Eastern Theater is this area, Western Theater is this area. So maybe they need to come up with the Trans-Mississippi Theater. That's something I'd like to see. Battle of Fort Sumter. And you're going to have some narrative. They talk about how much land they've preserved, if they've preserved any, and then you're going to have some maps on it. And there might be multiple maps, but depending upon the battle. Here's Fort Henry. Fort Donelson, they've preserved 370 acres. They usually have this little tag down here. So, and then you get the maps, as you can see right here. And their legends are all consistent throughout their maps, so I like that. So that you're looking at the same colors and the same aspects. The blue shaded is the land that they preserved, because they go back and try to reclaim land and try to return it back to its state at the time of the battle. And then the other parts is preserved by something else, or it might be like a national park that's preserved. But the blue part is the stuff that they've went out and worked on. Here's Shiloh. They've preserved 1,400 acres of Shiloh there. And you can see this blue here. So there's a park there, or battlefield, national park, I guess. And then you have these blue parts, is the parts of the parts of the field that they have preserved. This is pretty good how you see how the battle progressed. You know, there was a kind of a surprise attack and pushed them way back. And then got them back to here. So there's going to be several maps on Shiloh, but I see they got them almost all the way back to the Tennessee River. And A.P. Johnson, I think, yeah, it was Johnson one that fell around here. Battle of Corinth, Perryville. They preserved 1,150 acres of Perryville. Well, they pretty much the whole thing. There's just little pockets that were preserved by the Perryville Battlefield State Historical Park. So they basically filled in the donut around Perryville. A lot of maps on Perryville. Stones River or Murfreesboro, I've been there. Interesting battlefield there. They've done a little bit around on that side of the battle. Fort Gibson, 645 acres, but looks like they've done most of it, right? There's only a little bit of pockets of stuff that was there. Champion Hill, on my birthday. So they've done quite a bit there. The Siege of Vicksburg, they've only done 14 acres. Oh, right there. They did a little bit of 14 acres right there. Interesting. Of course, the Siege of Vicksburg happened, well, it took a long time, but it was preceded by Battle of Champion Hill, pushing Pemberton back. Port Hudson, Fort Wagner, a little bit of different map or perspective there. Chickamauga, I've been to there. That's an interesting battlefield. It's a highway that goes through the middle of it. That's right, probably this one right here. No, maybe it's this road. No, I think it's this road. Been to that a few times, coming back from Georgia, where my dad's family is from, and still down there. A lot of maps on Chickamauga. Chattanooga, been to there. And a little bit of stuff here. How much have they preserved here? 120 acres. I've just done a little bit on Chattanooga, Rocky Face Ridge, Kennesaw Mountain. And then one thing you can see here is they've, when they do it landscape, they flip it so that the top is on the spine. So if you are taking this out to a battlefield or want to use it, you can flip it and look at it without having to get an odd angle of the book. That's kind of a nice touch there. Battle of Atlanta. Mobile Bay. I like it when they do naval pictures as well. You don't see that in a lot of atlases, unless it's like a dedicated to naval warfare. So it's good to see some of those every now and again. Battle of Franklin, Nashville, Fisher, Bentonville. Quite a few on Bentonville. It's Bentonville, North Carolina. Spanish Fort and Fort Blakely. And then you've got a short history of their preservation movement, what they're doing, and feel free to have a discussion on that. Just keep it civil. And here's determining the land they want to use. It looks like they've got a few, done some in my neck of the woods there, so I need to check that out. I've been to a lot of those. And there you have it. Here's how you can help donate money to help save more battlefield land. But there you have it. That is battlefield maps of the Civil War, the Western Theater from the American Battlefield Trust. I'm not necessarily endorsing the American Battlefield Trust. I do like their content when they walk battlefields. I think it's interesting, and I do like that perspective. I just thought these maps look good. As I said in my previous piece on the Eastern Theater, one of my degrees was geography, so maps have always had a special place for me. And I do collect atlases, and I might be doing more Coffee with Kilroy's where I kind of page through an atlas. But I'd like to know your thoughts on that. Do you think that, do you like looking at atlases? Is this boring and dry and not worth your time or my time? Love to hear your thoughts on that as well. Or if you want me to spend more time on some of the atlases and going over, some of the perspectives and how they've rendered the battlefield or the drawings and the images, and we can really get into the weeds if you want to, but I just kind of like doing a quick surfacey view of these, so you can be aware that they're out there. So if you want to look at it, you can, or buy it, or do what you want with it. But if you want more content or different content, I'm all ears. So anyway, I hope you're having a good one. Thank you so much for stopping by. And the best way I know you stop by is drop me a comment. Let me know about the American Battlefield Trust, or this atlas, or the previous one, or anything that's on your mind. Just keep it civil. Take care. Thanks for watching.